Welcome, everybody.
We are live.
My name is Jason Aponte.
I am Andrew Pasquini.
We're working. That's it. We're working over here. That's it. Let's go Niners.
Let's go Niners. Sprint Ride Option Podcast. New episode of the Sprint Ride Option Podcast. I am Andrew Pasquini. Jason Aponte to my side. We are here to talk about the San Francisco 49ers, and good thing nothing was said during Kyle Shanahan's time with the press that would cause us to talk about it. We're just here to talk about the 49ers. Jason, how are you doing on this lovely, it's Friday. How are you doing today?
Doing great. Very uneventful day today. No real reason for excitement in any way. I kind of was wondering, what are we even going to talk about on this show? How will we be able to fill time on this show? And what could we possibly dive into that would even elicit a little bit of interest from the audience? I mean, you wanted to do a Trader Joe's podcast. I was completely with that as well, too, because the analysis that we can give to the products that Trader Joe's offers, I think far exceeds anything that's happened in 49ers land at this point.
Yes. No, definitely. Trader Joe's shout out. So we're very funny. Yeah, there we go. They got a new kicker.
There we go.
Sly, right?
Joey Sly. Podcast over. Okay. Joey Sly, new kicker. Done.
Played for the Panthers. He's ripped. The Giants have the best linebackers at kickers in the league, per sources. No, obviously we're burying the lead here. The Kyle Shanahan had a little bit of an announcement today. Jimmy Garoppolo is out due to that calf injury, which opens the door for what everybody wants. A lot of people want. I'm not going to say everybody, but a lot of people want to see is Trey Lance, his first career NFL start. And I'm going to start it in a little bit of this conversation, a little bit of a different way than maybe you expected. I don't know what you expected from me. Whatever. This game becomes very important, right? Because in my head, if Trey Lance is very good, I think we know where the conversation is going to go in this next 2 weeks, right? It's going to be 2 weeks of, okay, Lance is the starter. Garoppolo lost his spot because that's probably what it's going to be. Because if you look at why the Niners lost against Green Bay, why the Niners lost against Seattle, why the Niners struggled with the Eagles was the offense struggled. And where does that always start? At the quarterback position, right? But on the flip side, and I'm knocking on wood, hoping that doesn't happen, is if Trey Lance struggles going into the bye week, we're going to have 2 weeks of conversation of, oh my God, what are the Niners going to do at quarterback? Because this is the NFL, Jason. We don't think about the long term. We think of everything on a week-to-week basis, and we can't function deeper than just what happened the previous Sunday. So to me, this game got very important with the quarterback change. I don't think it's a permanent change yet, but if Trey Lance plays very, very well, or if he plays well, I don't even think we need to add the very, very. If he just plays well, the conversation has ended, in my opinion.
And I think that the game is a little bit more important now when you look at the Seattle Seahawks situation with Russell Wilson now about to be out for possibly 6 to 8 weeks. This is the 49ers' golden chance right here to get back in there because the Rams don't seem to be losing games. They're finding ways to win games as they did last night, even though Geno Smith looked pretty good for a guy who hasn't played in a long time. But I think that adds another layer to this where if the 49ers can knock off Arizona this week, which, spoiler alert, I am going to predict that as well, too, that they are going to win this game. And as you said, Trey Lance playing well is good enough. And if you see the offense take strides, that is good enough to carry the conversation into the bye week. And just an example, Justin Fields had to play when Andy Dalton was injured, right? Yeah. He actually had a good showing. Matt Nagy says Andy Dalton's our starter when he gets back. Guess what? Reverse course and said, you know what? Let's go with the kid. There could be a similar situation there. Not that I'm comparing Nagy to Shanahan because they don't have the same thought process. But at the same time, this game becomes way bigger in terms of where the 49ers can go in this division, and they have a chance to really leapfrog Seattle because, no disrespect to Geno Smith, I'm not really as worried about them, and that defense is still pretty bad. So, I mean, this is the 49ers' chance right here to make a statement and to see what this conversation will be like going into the bye week. So, this game has completely changed, especially when you consider the quarterback change. And now you're talking about Seattle struggling and possibly losing games in a row now because of their quarterback being injured.
That was probably the nicest way you could have compared Matt Nagy and Kyle Shanahan, by the way. So kudos to that.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen too many negative comparisons. What is it? Kyle Shanahan is Matt Nagy and Yeezys, and I'm just like, okay, guys, let's not go that far. So, but
Oh man,
yes.
if you want to have a fun deep dive with Kyle Shanahan comparison, go talk to Vish and see what he says about that because his Kyle Shanahan comparison is very fun.
Okay.
Not so fun as a Niner fan, but yeah, Trey Lance. I think the thing I'm most excited for, and I think you're probably excited for too, because you are the tape connoisseur. I don't even know what I tried to
Connoisseur.
start. Connoisseur. There we go. Jason knew where I was going with that. Of this podcast, I'm excited to see how Shanahan does with him, what he does, how he utilizes him, because we saw him do it a little bit when Lance came in to start the game, 3 run plays, 3 option run plays, or RPOs, whatever fandangled terminology you want to use. Christ, man. I'm excited to see what he does with a week's full of game planning with him at QB1. I know it's going to be a little tougher with Kittle out, or not out. Sorry, didn't break news there. Doubtful. I
I think he's
apologize.
out.
Yeah, doubtful doesn't sound good, but we'll see. Maybe he wakes up tomorrow, he feels fine. So it's going to be interesting to see what Shanahan does with Lance in this first game, to see the ways he, lack of a better term, protects him, because it is his first start. There's going to be a learning curve. Let's be honest. There's a reason he hasn't played as much, is likely because Shanahan didn't feel comfortable with it yet. Now he's forced into it. So we'll see how comfortable he actually is with him, see how he protects him, see what he draws up, and then just to see how he, we say that the offense with Garoppolo is the offense with training wheels, or whatever we want. I forget the exact terminology we use on that, but we'll see if maybe Shanahan loosens the training wheels a little bit for Lance. Not because I'm saying Lance is better than Garoppolo right now, because I don't know if that's true. It's the idea of Lance's athleticism and playmaking ability. The idea of it is there. And I think it's fair to say that the athleticism and playmaking ability is higher for Trey Lance than it is Jimmy Garoppolo. I don't think that's a far stretch to say. Nothing against Garoppolo. So I'm excited to see what Shanahan does, because we spent probably the most amount of time on this podcast, Jason, saying negative things about Shanahan on Wednesday because it was deserved, not saying it wasn't. I'm excited to see how he bounces back from what was last week to this week against a coach who probably is worse than him, right? Cliff Kingsbury. We're anti-Cliff Kingsbury podcast here. So I'm excited to see what Shanahan has up his sleeve for this game.
Yeah, and I can only speculate, but I would think that it's a lot of quick defined reads. There's going to be a lot of zone read, which is going to be used to slow down Chandler Jones and JJ Watt. It'll be very smart to do that. The Cardinals actually match up very well. They have a lot of speed at the second level. Xavier Collins and Isaiah Simmons, very fast guys. So that's going to be something that I'm looking for as well too. But everything in this offense is going to be based off of the run. So if the run game's working, then those play action shots will be out there. I expect Shanahan to run a bunch of bootlegs with him as well too, and just get him some easy throws to get him in the mix, get him going. But I suspect that this running game is going to be really what is going to be tough to stop. Not only with just Lance, taking that thing out and running it by himself, but I expect Chase Sermon to have a really good game. Arizona's at the bottom of the league in terms of rushing yards per game allowed. So I know that we said this with the Seattle Seahawks, and you know what? For everything that happened in that game, the 49ers actually ran the ball well, and that was before Trey Lance got into the game. Trey Sermon had a very good game, particularly in between the tackles. This was probably his best showing. Not even probably, it was his best showing in the NFL so far. So I expect a lot of that and as well too. So the play action is going to open everything up. It's going to be a little bit more of a challenge because we understand how vital George Kittle is to the run game. He's essentially another lineman who can actually catch the ball. So we're going to see how that works. I expect to see Juice over there a little bit more because he's a great blocker. So it's going to be very interesting to watch. When you watch back the All-22, the formations that they were running was basically a pistol formation with Kyle Juszczyk to the side of him, and that was giving people fits in that game. Seattle was standing there flat-footed, waiting to figure out where the ball was going after the mesh point. You can expect things like that, but I think that Arizona actually has a much better defense than Seattle, which is not really saying much because Seattle's probably at the bottom of the league right now when it comes to that. But I'm very interested to figure out what they cooked up, how exactly is Shanahan's script going to be in the beginning? Because you understand that the first drive is always scripted, right? That's always what you worked in. That's the install. They go through it. Then after that, when the game gets in the hands of now you have to actually play call, where does he go in certain situations? Are you going to be more aggressive on fourth down? Are you going to try to punch it in on fourth down from the one and instead of taking field goals? And these are all things that I'm looking for right here. So, and it's an exciting time, right? Like on top of this game being a big game now we get to see some of the development for the number 3 pick. So there's a lot of excitement around this game, but I'm very excited to figure out how Kyle Shanahan plans to slow down this Arizona Cardinals team that's undefeated.
Yeah, and you mentioned Arizona's run defense, 7th most rushing yards per game allowed, 135.8. And the run game is going to be very important because you mentioned that Arizona offense being able to shorten this game up and keeping Kyler Murray off the field is going to be very, very important. Because I mean, we're a quarter of the way through a season. It's way too early to even mention the 3 letters MVP. But Kyler Murray has to be up there, right? He's the best player on the best team right now because they are the only undefeated team left in the NFL. So yeah, Shanahan, you make a great point with the scripted plays. See what Shanahan's thoughts are for the plays he can get Trey Lance going for, and all the reasons this game is exciting is what's going to make it very important. Is Trey Lance, how he actually looks. Because if the Niners can figure out the quarterback thing, this offense will start humming because they have the weapons and they have the offensive mind there. But we'll talk about the other offense now. And also another random thought I had about, not a random thought, but this game's in Arizona. It kind of plays as a neutral site game.
Home game?
Well, because the Niners, they finished their season. They're a little familiar with what it's like going into a game. Obviously, the crowd's going to be there. That's the big difference here. So this is kind of like a fake neutral site game for the Niners. They're used to the field down there. But yeah, Arizona's offense is something. It's very good. And I mean, the thing is it's not just Kyler Murray and DeAndre Hopkins anymore. It's Kyler Murray, DeAndre Hopkins, AJ Green, and Chase. I know Edmonds I believe he's questionable for Sunday.
He's probably going to be a game time call.
Yes. So I was just looking at the stats. Arizona has 3 receivers who have 20 or more targets. It's Hopkins, Green, and Edmonds. 4 receivers who have 200 or more yards. AJ Green, Christian Kirk, DeAndre Hopkins, Rondale Moore. And 5 receivers who have a touchdown: DeAndre Hopkins, AJ Green, Christian Kirk, Moore, and Max Williams, who I believe is also on the injury report.
I don't think he's actually going to play in this one. I think he's closer to the doubtful side. Yeah.
There we go. But even without him, it's like they have so many targets that they use in the offense. And the big question for the Niners has been the secondary, the cornerback depth and all that. This is going to be the biggest test. Yeah. Because DJ Metcalf and Tyler Lockett, very good. The Niners did a good job against DJ Metcalf. To me, DeAndre Hopkins and AJ Green, especially with the way Green has been playing, it's going to be a rough outing for the Niners secondary, which is going to put more pressure on the Niners front 4, front 7, whatever you want to say, and the pass rush against Kyler Murray. And as Niner fans are kind of used to the Niners defensive line not doing well against Kyler Murray. So this game feels stressful for the defense just because of who they're facing and all the targets they have. They put up a lot of yards. They're first in total yards. They're third in percentage of drives ending in a score. They more than half the time, 51% of the time, they score on drives. This might be the most stressed the Niners defense is going to look this season, and it's definitely going to be the hardest test for D'Amico Ryans early on here.
Yeah, and one more note about the offense is Trent Williams is going to play, which is really, really big for Trey Lance. And I'm very happy that that's happening because you don't want that. That's his blind side. You definitely want to make sure that that's shored up. You want the best left tackle out there. So that also helps as well. In terms of the defense, obviously the air raid is to spread you out and to get you, in all sort of advantageous matchups, right? That's the whole idea of it, right? And you have a quarterback who can slip away from it. So it's going to be very important for the 49ers to contain Kyler Murray in the pocket. Do not lose that containment. Make him make throws from the pocket because when he starts to move around, he's building rapport with guys. And that scramble drill, you cannot expect secondary players, especially cornerbacks, to cover for 5, 6, 7 seconds. Yeah. Rondale Moore has been a godsend for them. I didn't think that it made sense for them to draft him, but when you're looking at the 4 receivers that they can run out in the air raid, Kirk, Green, Moore, and Hopkins, it's a problem. It is. And Chase Edmonds may not play in this game, but James Conner has been playing actually very well for them as well, too. So he's there as well. So it's going to be interesting to figure out how the 49ers match up. Seems like Josh Norman is going to play in this game. So you're going to see Norman, you're going to see Mosley on the outside. What happens now is who is going to be playing on the inside, because I for sure don't want to see Fred Warner on one of these receivers. As good as he is, you don't want to see that constantly. Same thing with Azeez Al-Shaair. So what do? Do you go to more of a dime look? Do you just rush 4 and you're dropping everyone else and you have more secondary members? It's going to be very, very interesting to figure out what DeMeco Ryans does here. And I'll point to the Philly game and even the Seattle game. I think they're doing a great job so far of containing mobile quarterbacks. Obviously DeMeco is a lot more aggressive, as you saw when Dante Johnson nearly wrapped up Russell Wilson for a sack. He slipped out. That's the Russell Wilson special, but not really going to kill Dante Johnson for that. It's just what happens. But it's going to be interesting to figure out when he picks his spots to blitz, and can they get to Kyler Murray before things develop down the field? And can you force them into some uncomfortable situations? Because the main question mark about this team was never necessarily talent. It was always, okay, as a play caller, Cliff Kingsbury, can you show some growth? Can you stop putting DeAndre Hopkins in one spot and having him run 3-yard outs? And when the pressure's on, can you call the right plays? I think that another thing that we need to put into context here is with the Cardinals is last year they started out similarly hot, right? And not 4-0, but they were playing very well. Kyler Murray gets injured, and then all of a sudden the offense tapers off. The play calling falls apart. So yes, they're 4-0 right now. Are they a 4-0 team now that is, playoff bound? They could be, or they could be that team that we've seen the last few years. So it's going to be interesting to figure out how they do this. DeMeco Ryans has his handful, and so does defense. So are you going to see Dante Johnson in nickel? Are you going to see Lenore? So would it be Lenore, Norman, Kirkpatrick, and Emmanuel Mosley? I mean, who knows? And they can mix and match all they want as well too. So I'm guessing it's going to be more about who's performing, and if someone is not performing well, then someone else steps right in. So those would be the 4 that I'm looking at right there, who are actually going to be trying to cover these wide receivers. So it's going to be very interesting to figure out how they slow this offense down, because right now Kyler Murray is a one-man wrecking crew.
Yeah, and I think one thing that'll help compared to what they did at least in week 1 last year was the way they played DeAndre Hopkins. I think Ryans is going to be a little more aggressive on the cornerback aspect of the defense. Especially, I mean, if you remember last year, week 1, what was Saleh's strategy against DeAndre Hopkins was very curious. And I believe it was pretty consistent, just giving him 8 yards of space off the line and letting him get those underneath routes that Cliff Kingsbury loves to call. And you saw that change a little bit in the second game, because I remember a few like 3rd and 4th downs for Arizona's offense where they just ran slant routes to Hopkins, and the Niners ate it up every time. So I'm interested to see. I mean, that secondary matchup against these receivers is going to be a very, very curious one to watch. And I just Kyler Murray scares me. I think I don't know if it's weird to say. I think I'm at a point with Kyler Murray that I think he puts more fear in me than Russell Wilson does. I think he has more athleticism than him, and I think he has. I got to word this better because I know Russell Wilson has the best deep ball in the NFL right now. I'm not trying to dispute that, but I feel like Kyler Murray has better quarterback skills. I don't even know what I'm trying to word at this point. Just something about Kyler Murray scares me more than Russell Wilson. And this Niners defense needs to be ready for it. They need to figure out ways. It's not as easy as, I remember the old school thought of against mobile quarterbacks, just have your DNs contain. That's not what this is with Kyler Murray anymore. You can't do that against mobile quarterbacks. It's going to come down to actually knocking him down, getting in his face and things like that. So this is a chess match I'm very interested to see, and I think this would be the biggest matchup. It's just the Niners secondary, not even the front 4, just the secondary and how they respond against these good receivers and Kyler Murray.
Yeah. And I think that, yes, obviously the old school way is the containment portion, but I think it's really about gap integrity. And Jordan actually posted a clip today of where the play broke down. Aaron Donald gets ready to watch Kyler Murray load up, and he dives at him like almost like a video game, and Kyler Murray just steps back, and now he's got this entire lane to throw the football, and he does. Those are the types of plays that he can make. You always fear that, because for somebody who is just, he can run around and you're obviously afraid of the legs. The kid has a cannon as well, as we all know, and he can definitely throw it downfield. So you're always worried about when he loads up and he's getting ready to toss it, get in his face. So it's all about gap integrity, and it's going to be containment, making sure that you're in your proper place. Don't get taken out of the play. Don't allow yourself to get pushed out of the way by two linemen or anything like that. Stay in your gap and make sure that you can't even really spy him at this point when you're talking about how many receivers are going to be on the field at the same time. I expect some disguises. Like, for instance, maybe there's an instance where Dante Johnson's in the slot and Azeez Al-Shaair is in the middle, and Dante Johnson comes on a fire zone and Azeez Al-Shaair just floats over to his guy. So that was something that they ran against Seattle. I believe it was the first drive. Shout out to Vish. He called it out. It was Palms coverage with the fire zone blitz where Jimmy Ward was over DK Metcalf. He goes to the quarterback. It caused confusion. Javon Kinlaw got a great rush towards Russell Wilson, and Emmanuel Mosley drove on DK Metcalf, and it was a high throw. So those are the type of things that you're going to have to do. I think the 49ers, I feel like we're a broken record saying this. They have to start fast, and they cannot fall behind, because falling behind is not going to be the way that they're going to win this game. Keep this game, control the clock, keep Kyler Murray off the field, and walk away with touchdowns. Field goals are not going to beat this team. No disrespect to Joey Sly, but just no field goals. Like, you have to score touchdowns, and you're gonna have to sustain drives, keep Kyler Murray on the sideline, and try to limit as many plays as he can have on the field, just so you can put yourself in a position to win this game.
Yeah, I think the key is, you make a great point with don't fall behind. The key is going to be keep the run game involved in this game. If you're falling behind, if you're behind, like against Seattle 21-7, behind Green Bay 17-0, you're going to have to abandon that run game. And now you take a very large part of what Trey Lance can do for this offense out of the offense, where you're now making him a passer, where what he can do, what he specializes is in it. Wow, that was a sentence. What he specializes in is that read option, the thought of, he sticks the ball out. Is he keeping it? Is Sermon getting it? Is Mitchell getting it? Is he going to give it whatever, or is he going to roll out and run? Is he going to roll out and throw? What is he going to do? So the Niners have to keep the run game involved in this game. And that the large part of that is keep the game close, or even, blow the Cardinals out and just run the ball the whole game. So it's going to be interesting in that. And I think Trey Lance is going to have a good game, because you mentioned Chandler Jones and J.J. Watt. The Arizona pass rush is meh to me.
It's the first week. It's all skewed because of the first week, where Chandler Jones had like 5 sacks.
He had 5 sacks after week 1. Guess how many sacks he has on the entirety of 2021?
5.
5 sacks. Hasn't had a sack since then. Arizona blitzes 30.6% of the time. That's 7th most in the league. They only create pressures on 23.8% percent of pass plays, which is 18th in the league. So they're bringing rushers, but they're not getting through. And now they're facing a 49ers offensive line that has been very good. Very good. Like, there's no, if you just want to look at it in basic terms, they've allowed 2 sacks this season.
Mm-hmm.
They've allowed 2 sacks this season. They've had a very good year. You know who nobody's talking about? Mike McGlinchey. Nobody's talking about Mike McGlinchey because they can't find anything bad to say about him. He's having a damn good year. We were worried about the right guard position. Daniel Brunskill's been fine. Trent Williams exists, and as long as he exists, he's the best left tackle in the world. I think the biggest question on the line right now is what Alex Mack is doing, because he's struggling, but it's not showing, because the line as a whole has been very good. Trey Lance is going to have time. He's going to have time to make those read options. He's going to have time to find a receiver downfield and show off that arm he has, because for the first time since 2019, it feels like this Niners offense can actually move 15, 20 yards at a time. And Trey Lance gives you that. So I think, as worried as I am about the defense and the secondary, I am just as confident that the Niners offense, especially with the struggle Arizona has getting to, I think they only have like 8 sacks this season, and 5 of those came from Chandler Jones in week 1. So yeah, as worried as I am about the Niners defense, I feel just as confident as the Niners offense against this Arizona defense.
Yeah, absolutely. And if this offense is what we think it's going to be with Trey Lance, then it's got to show it right away. This is the week, especially when you talk about how bad they are at defending the run. And now you bring up the point about their pass rush. I think that those are great points, and the 49ers need to capitalize on that, and they need to start fast, make sure that they're keeping Kyler Murray on the sidelines. And I'm interested to figure out what this split is going to be with Sermon and Elijah Mitchell as well. That Mitchell actually, broke out in week 1. But when you really look at it, aside from that long run, I think he averaged something like 2.3 per carry on all of those. So I would pump the brakes on it just being automatically Mitchell's show. I think the Sermon is somebody who they had an idea going into the season was going to be 1A, 1B with Raheem Mostert. So it's good to find out what we're going to be dealing with here. Are we just going to see Elijah Mitchell strictly on passing downs or in obvious passing situations or on just third downs only? So I think that's what's going to be, a little bit more to monitor, in my opinion. And when you talk about how Trey Sermon looked before Trey Lance got in the game and after, it was a sizable difference because when that ball's in the mesh point and it's there, those outside rushers, those linebackers, they have to stand there and wait to figure out where the ball's going, and then they have to react. You're reading and reacting. You're not just reacting. So that's what makes it so dangerous. That's what's going to hold the pass rush at bay as well, too, because all three of those things exist. You're going to have a man coming across, which will probably be Debo. It'll be in Sermon's belly. It'll be in Trey's hands, or it'll just get pulled out and Trey's going to throw it down the field as well, too. So.
And Jesus makes some good points here too, because we know Kyle Shanahan loves his little leak to Dwelly. Use check, probably the most likely one there. We appreciate the donation, Jesus. Love all of you equally, all that fun stuff. Just fantastic point, because the offense, this is gonna sound like a knock on Jimmy Garoppolo, and it's really not. It's just how excited I am for Trey Lance. This offense feels open for the first time this season. This offense really feels like they have something to them. I guess the best way I've been describing it, and I don't know if it the most sense of this, how I'm explaining it. This will be the first time this season the Niners offense isn't playing 10 on 11. They're playing 11 on 11 now because of what Trey Lance can do for this offense. And I think all it takes is one Trey Lance run of 15 yards on an option play for them to kind of sneak the defense up and be like, we can't get beat with this run, for him to go over the top. Like, it just exactly. There we go. Vader Joe, perfect point. The sky's the limit feeling. That's what it is. This feels like for the first time, I am excited to watch this offense since week 1. Because of what they did in week 2 and then week 3 and week 4, and it's just kind of stacked. This is the first time the offense really feels like the sky's the limit. And as I said, that's not a knock at Garoppolo. It's more of a compliment at what the potential of Trey Lance's skill set is going to be.
Yeah, absolutely. And we knew that. We knew that, the ceiling gets raised with Trey Lance. Obviously, you see the shot plays that just can't happen. There he is. What's up, Don Burr?
Don Burr is here.
For the audio listeners, Don Burr says, Detroit versus everybody. Can we win a game? Vikings up next. Hey, man, look, I told you that I was going to become a de facto Lions fan just for you after that one game. And yeah, I'm rooting for them every time just for you, Don.
What's funny is that Ravens game, and I hate to bring it up, is I was at a friend's house, and when pregame was starting, I was like, I feel like Detroit's going to win this. I don't know what it is, but I feel like Detroit's going to win this. And we won't talk about the finish. I just know my first thought with that finish was, I hope Don Burr's okay.
Right.
But anyways, back to the Niners. I get excited when Don Burr's here.
So I mean, it's obvious that Trey Lance does things that Jimmy Garoppolo can't down the field. There's guys running open, but very often Jimmy Garoppolo is in the middle of the field. He's always on his first read, things like that. And again, we've talked about it. Trey Lance actually goes through his reads. We just need him to go through the reads faster, and that'll come with reps, though. Mm-hmm. But it's impressive to see. I saw it in camp. You saw it in the Chargers game, especially on that Travis Benjamin touchdown. 1, 2, and then 3, gets the ball out really fast, and he has the arm speed to, if he's even a fraction late, though, to his rush, he can still get the ball and get it past the defender. Jimmy Garoppolo doesn't have that in his arsenal, so he has to be precise, on time with all his reads, all his throws, because if he's not, they either get knocked down or guys can undercut them. And that's not a knock at him. He just doesn't have the arm that Trey Lance does, and that opens up things down the field. I expect that it's still going to be a bit of a stripped-down playbook. Just, plays that he knows he can execute. This is not the time to try anything that you haven't done. Ergo, throwbacks from a second week running back to a quarterback. I was going to make
that joke.
Yeah. There's not the week to do any of those things. Get whatever you've been practicing, whatever you've been helping him develop on, and you know that he can do it. And then you can work on what he can't do later on. You have 2 weeks until the next game. So, all of those things are true with Trey Lance, and there's so much potential for, if the 49ers got into a shootout with them, I feel much better with Trey Lance in the shootout than Jimmy Garoppolo, even though they have won those sort of shootout games. But here's one more point that I'll make for everybody, about, we've beaten Arizona. Well, every single game with Arizona has been a nail biter. Even that the game that they won by, I guess it was 2 touchdowns because they had a garbage time touchdown at the end, like with the last play. Every game has always been the same with them. When it comes to division rivals, toss out what's been happening with them and other teams. Those games are going to be tight. And here, I'll point to last night's game. The Rams offense was humming, and Seattle's defense is bad. They didn't come out and light the world on fire because they're division rivals. They know each other very well, and they were able to like knock it out until the end of the game, and then the Rams take it over. But yeah, I mean, you got to kind of toss everything out when in these division games because they're all so close. Everybody knows everybody. So, donation from Paul Madison. Let's go Giants. Sure, why not?
Paul Madison's my guy, okay? He's a big EPL guy. He knows I'm a big Wolves fan. Now, I bought FIFA 22 just to play with Wolves. Excited. Nice. Hey, Sue, seeing the story about Trey Lance. I'm assuming that's Trey Lance progress in the NFL. Once this kid is given the chance, he's going to take the NFL by storm. Yeah, I mean, let's real quick. And I have a question here. I don't want to lose M's question because you touched on it, and I think it's an interesting question. Can we go into a shootout with Trey Lance? I don't know. We don't know what Trey Lance actually looks like yet, but the idea of Trey Lance, yeah, I absolutely think we can. But back to Jesus's point, I just didn't want to lose M's question.
Mm-hmm.
If Trey Lance, let's say he performs well, let's say 250 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 intercept, whatever it may be, and he wins this starting job, is he like the maybe favorite through 5 weeks, not through 5 weeks, but given time to win offensive rookie of the year? Because who's really done anything offensive wise? Rookie Najee. Okay, so that's probably the leading name. But if you compare all the other quarterbacks, they've been mid. Like none of them have really blown anything out of the water. So if Trey Lance comes out, gets the starting spot, and let's say he gives you 3-4 weeks of 200 plus yards, minimal turnovers, couple touchdowns, running the ball well, could be looking at an offensive rookie of the year candidate. And so I think that's the peak of, Mac Jones too. Don Burr makes a good point. Mac Jones, I forget he's a rookie for some reason, maybe because he plays for New England, and I don't picture New England with a rookie quarterback because my dumb brain still thinks Tom Brady is their quarterback. But yeah, Jesus, I think he has a chance to take the NFL by storm, especially with the poor quarterback play out of this rookie class.
I'm just interested to see what's going to be the discussion if Trey Lance plays very well going into the bye, because Kyle Shanahan was pretty steadfast today saying that if Jimmy Garoppolo was 100%, he was going to go right back to him. So I think that we're going to have a lot of time to discuss this performance and break it down and figure out what's going on as well, too. I pointed to the Bears situation. Obviously, that's not apples to apples because it's 2 different coaches. But there is a scenario where, Justin Fields started off poorly. I believe that was 2 things. 1, horrendous play calling by Nagy. 2, their offensive line was just getting worked by Myles Garrett. Now they turn the page and flip the playbook over to Bill Lazor, and all of a sudden, the next week with a week full of game plan, all of a sudden Justin Fields is competent. So I think that it's going to be a long week in between, depending on how Trey Lance does. And if Trey Lance comes out here and he beats Arizona, there's going to be a large outcry of people saying, how can you even think about going back to Jimmy Garoppolo? But I'm not certain, no matter who says whatever, that Kyle Shanahan is swayed by public perception, public outcry, or anyone's take. So it's going to be very interesting around here in 49ers land, especially if the 49ers do what I think is going to happen, meaning that they're going to win this game.
I think this needs to be said to 49ers Twitter, because I think they persuade things. Kyle Shanahan doesn't give a shit what you think.
Nope.
So like we could, 49ers Twitter can push the narrative all they want. You could have all your Twitter spaces, you could have all your tweets about how Trey Lance is better than Jimmy Garoppolo and think it does something. It doesn't. And that's okay. But I mean, I'll put it like this. I know I just said something negative about 49ers Twitter. If Trey Lance does very well, I look forward to the tweets on Monday of when's he going to announce him the starter? And then the tweets on Tuesday, when's he going to announce him as a starter? Then Wednesday and Thursday and Friday. And we're going to get a week of it until he actually has to name him the following Friday. So this is it's a very interesting time for a 49ers bye week, just because of all the things of if there is momentum after this game, it's going to be a little harder to build off of that momentum of Trey Lance. And if Trey Lance does well, it's going to be 2 weeks of, oh my God, Trey Lance needs to be the starter. So very, very fun and inconvenient bye week for the San Francisco 49ers.
And imagine the Twitter Spaces after Trey Lance torches the Cardinals and wins the game, and how long it's going to be. That's going to be the longest 2 weeks ever. I might, that bye week. I promise you, I'm just going to sit and I'm just going to get drunk and just watch football because I'm not participating in any of that discussion. Because again, one, nobody gives a damn what I think, especially Kyle Shanahan. And two, you're kind of spinning your wheels at this point. You really just have to understand that, it's out of your hands. It's above you. Kyle Shanahan does not care, and he's going to do whatever he wants. And you just got to kind of live with the consequences, or live with his decision, not consequences. Live with his decision. That's it.
And Kyle Shanahan just feels like a guy who is 100% okay living with his decisions. Like he seems like such a relaxed and chill guy. And I'm really excited for the 7-hour Twitter Spaces if Trey Lance plays well to turn into
7 hours that's
7 hours of commercial-free Twitter Spaces, Jason.
That's conservative, actually. I feel like those things go over 2 days.
Oh my goodness. It's always rolling. If you need anybody to talk 49ers with, just go to Twitter and find the Spaces. It's there. It exists. Ben, what's up? Go Florida State. That's a football team that exists in the universe. Jason, I feel like we've touched on a lot of things in this podcast. We've yelled at 49ers Twitter. We've talked about the quarterbacks. We've previewed this game pretty well. I think we've covered all the bases. So give me your final score prediction.
Yep. I've got the 49ers winning 38-31. I think that the Cardinals, 38-31 is going to be a high-scoring game. It's going to be the most fun game of the week. I think that the national media knows that this is the game that they're hyping up. I don't really watch NFL Network, ESPN, any of those things, but I believe I was in the barbershop, and I looked up while it was on, and it was like a 25-minute segment about Trey Lance. And I can only surmise that that's what's been going on on ESPN, on NFL Network for this entire week. And now that we had the actual announcement, this game is going to have a lot of eyes on it. Unfortunately, for some reason, the NFL continues to book the Dallas Cowboys as the national game across the country, which is baffling. I get that they're good. I get that everybody likes them right now, but come on, I don't see how that game is more of a draw of Trey Lance's first start versus Kyler Murray. But I've got the 49ers winning a shootout. I think the defense does just enough to hold on and win this game, but this is going to fall squarely on Trey Lance and this offense, and I think that Kyle Shanahan is going to dip into his bag this week, kind of shake off the narrative, and also give a week to breathe, and people will stop with their nonsensical get rid of Kyle things instead of just criticizing at this point. So,
Jason, I'm going to say it right now. If Trey Lance leads the offense to 38 points, Kyle Shanahan needs to announce him as the starter after the game. I have Arizona 28, San Francisco 20. Arizona's very good. Nothing against Trey Lance, man. Listen, I know the excitement's there for Trey Lance, but we need to step back. Remember what he is. He's a rookie quarterback and is making his first career start. I just think, to me, Arizona always gives the Niners fits. They're good. It's a home game for them. If this game is in Santa Clara, I'm probably saying the Niners win. I think these two teams are a lot closer than what it feels like right now, and I think Trey Lance gives that more gumption to that argument. I don't even know if that's a word. But that to me feels 28-20. I think that's going to be the final score.
All right, we're going to see. I have a little bit more optimism. I'm wrong. Yeah, I woke up on the optimist side of the bed today. Hey, does that glass look half full? It sure does to me. And I think that this is the time that it's going to happen. And I think I'm just basing it off of what I saw in the second half. I saw a kid who, in the beginning, the game was moving a little too fast. But as things progressed, it's not like Seattle went into a complete prevent defense and he was just hitting easy throws. Sure, you would like to see him get to his progressions and hit those things, but he's doing better with his legs. He can turn something out of nothing, something that, like you said, it's not 10 on 11, it's 11 on 11. I suspect this game is going to be wide open with a bunch of points. Should be a ton of fun. If I could give anybody fantasy football advice, do not start the San Francisco defense in this game. You're not going to walk away with a lot of points in this game.
Uh-oh. I have the 49ers defense.
You better drop them. You better drop them. I don't know if you got to drop them. I don't know if you got to drop them. I'm not dropping a player for a defense. I'm dropping a defense for a defense, and I'll take my chance trying to get back to it because I can find one week to week.
Hey, Don Burr, if you're still there, and I think you are, you just responded. I'm not going to say your name. I think I found your Twitter page. I followed you. Please confirm if you got it. Or I didn't follow you. That's a lie. But I think I found it. I'm excited if it is you because pretty cool if it is. Jason, I hope your prediction's right, not just because of the Niners winning, but the final score. 38-31. I'm excited. That you cannot tell me that would not be an entertaining football game, and I am here for exciting football. And I've said that multiple times. We're gonna wrap up because your boy has a baseball game to watch, and he's a little anxious about it. We'll see what happens. But if you're on this YouTube page and you're not subscribed, what are you doing? Why aren't you subscribed? And if you're listening to the audio of this podcast and you're not subscribed to us on Apple, Spotify, Google, wherever you get your podcasts, what are you doing? Like, just click subscribe. We love it. We love you. You can be our friends. I promise you, if you send photo proof of you following this podcast or you following Jason Aponte's YouTube channel, the best YouTube channel there is, Jenna Marbles doesn't stand a chance against Jason Aponte, I will consider you my friend. That is what I can give to you. That's about all I can give. I can't even promise a follow back. I can just say, hey, that person, my friend.
Absolutely. And yes, also too, if you're watching right now live, just make sure you subscribe, you hit that like button for me. And for us, that'll help push the video up in the algorithm. We appreciate everybody who's in here. Thank you guys for all the donations, and thank you guys who usually tap in. We usually see the same few names in here, and that's really, really cool that you guys consume the content and you enjoy it. So we always appreciate it. Never take it for granted, and we're always humbled by the support.
Yes, and you don't have to show proof that you follow. You're already my friend. So you don't have to worry. You're already.
And I met Sin in real life.
So I'm so jealous.
Yeah, she's actually my friend, like in real life. Not
sick brag, Jason.
Yep.
Sick brag. You have real friends. I just have friends on the internet. Okay. I was gonna say something probably not important anymore. Oh yeah, we'll be back Monday to review this game. Maybe we go mailbag next week. And also, if you guys have any ideas for us, what you want us to talk about, send them our way, because we're going to have 2 weeks of, no previews, no reviews, because the Niners have a bye. So if you guys have an episode idea you want us to do, we'll do it. We'll talk about whatever 49er topic you want us to talk about. That I'm excited. Bye weeks are kind of fun because you get to watch 7 hours of commercial-free football right up until Carrie Underwood says, I've been waiting all day for Sunday night. Didn't think I was going to fit that in today. Did I? Did you, Jason? As always, Jason Aponte.
Let's go Niners.
Let's go Niners. Giants in 5.
Giants in 5. Let's go.
Giants in 5. You can't see me. My time is now.
Welcome, everybody.
We are live.
My name is Jason Aponte.
I am Andrew Pasquini.
We're working. That's it. We're working over here. That's it. Let's go Niners.
Let's go Niners.